الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر.
Praise God. Arise, giving all praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. I extend the highest of honors to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? I extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam? I extend high honors to the Moorish flag. This beautiful flag right here. Red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
I extend honors to this beautiful flag, if you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
The American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes, which exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, with compound interest. Islam?
Islam.
This is also the flag of our birth. Islam?
Islam.
Extending honors to the noble Sheik staff and noble acting vanguard staff who keep the peace, and giving honors to you, the eels and babes, for without you, there is no Moorish movement. Islam?
Islam.
How's everyone on a holy day?
Oh,
Praise Allah, praise Allah. And I want to thank everyone for your contributions that you may or may not have made. If you don't have the cash on you right now, the cash at info is, well, actually PayPal is MSTA 19 Treasury. I said Gmail. Islam, like the Prophet said, it takes finance to uplift the nation. Islam?
Islam.
Praise Allah. So this evening, my measure this evening will be, will you pass the test? And the reason why I want to demonstrate that is because we have to remember that we are Moorish American Muslims. Islam?
Islam.
All right. As Moorish American Muslims, our forefathers' traditional way of imparting information was degree-based. Islam?
Islam.
We didn't just pour out information on people. It's not who we ever were. Like if you research any of our golden eras, we were never that. You know, you kind of want to trust a person before you start pouring out. Islam?
Islam.
So the Prophet tells us that we are Moorish American Muslims. That Muslim part in the end is very important because Prophet Muhammad was the founder, Prophet Muhammad first. Some might call him Prophet Muhammad, the concrete depends on the size of it, you demonstrated. But Prophet Muhammad was the founder of the uniting of Islam.
Islam.
He wasn't the founder of Islam. He was the founder of the uniting of Islam. So all the various Canaanite, Moabite, Israelite tribes that scattered throughout the world, right? He was the founder of all of what they were teaching and united it, you know, in that day and time, which to us now was the old era time, but in that day and time as Islam, right? In the Quran of Mecca, it speaks of this day I have perfected for you your religion and called it Islam. Prior to that, it didn't have a name. What was the name of what Jesus practiced? What was the name of what Moses practiced? What was the name of what Abraham practiced? There was no name for it because it was just who we were and what we did. You know, our ways that we demonstrated were in our blood, right? So we didn't technically need a book to be in conjunction with the will of the Most High. You know, Islam?
Islam.
All right. I want to draw from the Holy Quran and Moorish Science Temple of America, as is tradition for all Moorish Science Temples of America across the nation. And I'm going to draw from chapter 47.
Islam.
Brother Yosef, I know you, I said chapter, I know that. No, that's right. Chapter 47. We're not going to do the whole thing. Brother Yosef broke that down pretty good a couple weeks ago. I can't follow those footsteps. I'll just pull a couple verses. We're going to start at again, chapter 47. And again, the title of chapter 47 is Egypt, the capital empire of the dominion of Africa. Islam?
Islam.
We know that our prophet was also known as Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student. Not just adept, adept hyphenated student.
Yeah.
All adepts are students.
Islam.
And will be for the rest of your life. Islam, if you want to get into some of that later on, we can. But let's go to instruction 12. You can say verse 12. It says, let me hear Islam when you're there.
Islam.
So we have 47:12. It says, these holy and divine laws are from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by all members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meaning and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant. If you're taking notes, write that word down, covenant. Write 47:14 and write covenant. Under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, write that down. I, comma, the Prophet. You got to know what you're looking at, Morris.
Yeah.
You know, in the book of Revelation, it says, I, John. Islam? Okay. I, the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America, to repent from their sinful ways before the great and, before that specific date and time and act, that great and lawful day which is sure to come. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
I'm going to stop there. But the reason why I'm drawing from this is because he started off talking about those holy and divine laws. So he says, now what is law? Anybody? What is law? Moors love law, right? What is law? I'm going to talk about law 24/7. What is it?
I would say a set of agreed upon rules to govern society, or to govern an established group of people.
That's a good teaching. To quote from an often quoted book from Moorish Americans, generally that are not in the Moorish Science Temple of America, known as Black's Law Dictionary, and it's the 3rd edition too. Black's Law Dictionary, under the definition of law, that which is laid down, ordained, and established. Remember these, listen to the language. A rule or method according to which phenomena or actions coexist or follow each other. A system of principles, Islam, and rules of human conduct, quality of character, being the aggregate of those commandments. You hear that, we think religion, right? The 10 Commandments. Of those commandments and principles, which are either prescribed or recognized by the governing power in an organized jural society, right? Jural, J-U-R-A-L. J-U-R-A-L for our internet audience. This is a law-making society. Law-making and enforcing society. Is the Moorish Science Temple of America a jural society?
Indeed.
And once says so, Grand Sheik and chairman's empowered to do what?
Make law.
Make law and enforce laws. Islam? As its will in relation to the conduct of the members of such society. Did the Prophet Noble Drew Ali create a society for us? It's on the back of your Our Authority. Islam? All right? And which it undertakes to maintain and sanction and to use the criteria of the actions of such members. Islam? That's the basic aspect and interpretation, a measure of what law is. Now that definition is 3 pages long. I'm not doing that here, right? But I wanted to demonstrate that. Now, let's hear the law mind of our holy prophet. I'm going to do an excerpt from our charter. Every so often I read the charter, right? I demonstrate the charter because you have to know, the warrant of your authority, your warrant of authority. What you're empowered to do, you have to have clear conceptions of that work. Islam? An excerpt from the charter reads, it said, subordinate temple aforesaid, this is Noble Driving, this is 1920, this right here is like 1928, 27, 28. Subordinate temple aforesaid, being duly and lawfully organized, constituted and established, remember that in the definition of law, is hereby authorized and empowered to initiate and confer the degrees of said temple in accordance with the established forms and usages upon all such persons as are duly and lawfully qualified. Islam? This is Prophet Noble Drew. This is a man that didn't attend any college. Nobody can point to say where he got this information from. All we know is he brought it to us. That's all that matters. Islam? If you happen to want to do that research, you find something, bring it to us, we'll chop it up. Moors went to work this week and found and unveiled Prophet Noble Drew. It was like a circular he used to hand out back in the early, I want to say about between 1919, 1925, 3, something like that, where it says Dr. Drew. He's on them was all white war garments on. He's demonstrating a particular degree on the front. But it's talking about he was bringing the teachings from India, and he was curing bronchitis, rheumatism, so on and so forth. Brother Raphael, if you see up there in the midst of all that chaos over there, there should be a list of a jar of prophet's oil with the star and crescent on it. Yes, up top left, I see. You pass that up. This particular remedy right here, was formulated by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because most Americans still use it today. The ailment, I've used it for toothaches, all types of stuff. It's like, multi. On here, this is a, kind of like a carryover for when he was demonstrating the Dr. Drew demonstration. This is beneficial for rheumatism, first of all, at the top, Moorish mineral and healing oil. Beneficial for rheumatism, neuralgia, headache, toothache, indigestion, sore and tired feet, stiff joints. For loss of manhood, this is pre-Viagra. All right, brother, don't hurt yourself and get this stuff. Don't do that to the Moabites. For loss of manhood, apply to the spine and lower parts of the stomach twice daily. Internally, 10 drops 3 times daily in a glass of water, right? Because aromatherapy, aromatherapy can kind of take you back in the mind. I want to pass this around, and I want you to open it, and I want the boys to smell it. So that way you be in the era of the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam? All right? But don't spill it on you because it'll be with you all week. All right? So now, like I said, so the Moors, uncovered that this week. So that's another, that's another powerful work. So it's good to see the Moors doing their diligence of finding out the things that were lost, or hidden that the Prophet did. So now, I'd like to go through my wife has definitely smelled this. Definitely. One drop, I had a whole room. Anyway, so I'm going to go through certain terms inside of that section I just read. I'm going to go and define the terms organized. So you can write these down and define them on your own time. Okay? I see a lefty over there, fellow lefty. The terms organized, write that down. Constituted. Established. Authorized, empowered, that's like past tense, empowered with an ED at the end, initiate, and last word, confer, C-O-N-F-E-R. Whenever y'all finish with that order, just hand it to Brother Raphael. Organized is defined as, this is according to Webster's dictionary. And for you law people out there, remember Noah Webster was a lawyer. Organized, to give an organic structure to arrange the several parts of, for action or work, to establish a system. Islam? Islam. All right? So to organize, you organize for the purpose of action and work. Islam,
Islam.
right? Organization, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam,
Islam.
all right, send out laws. But that's designed for action and work, not philosophy. That was the Brother Chairman's demonstration. Action and work. Constitute. To settle, fix, or enact. To establish. To form or compose. To make up. To make a thing what it is. Key to our situation. To appoint. To depute. D-E-P-U-T-E. Like deputize. In other situations, or elect. To an office or employment. To make and empower. Who made you?
Allah.
Islam. Establish. To make firm. To establish. To make steadfast, firm, or stable. So you're talking about foundations, right? That's an establishment, right? To settle on a firm or permanent basis. Islam?
Islam.
In the book of Genesis, they talk about the firmament. Islam? Don't throw their Bibles away. Keep them Bibles. You don't know what you have there. It's a master's book. To set or fix unalterably. You know, these things aren't measured up by time. It's perpetual. Islam?
Islam.
Does the Moorish Science Temple of America have an expiration date? No, it's perpetual, boss. Islam? Does the United States of America have an expiration date?
No.
According to law.
Oh.
Articles of Confederation Preamble.
Yeah.
Oh.
This union is to be a what? A perpetual union.
Right.
That's why the South had to go and put the, the North had to go and put the South back and bring them back in unity. Because they were in breach of contract. Islam? All right? To institute and ratify. To enact or decree. A decree is from a divine source. Decree authoritatively. So what the Prophet proclaimed for us, he was decreeing from Allah because he was ordained by Allah. Islam?
Islam.
To decree authoritatively and for permanence. To ordain. Right? It's in Acts 6. To strengthen. To prove. All this is established. To strengthen. To prove. To confirm. To originate. And secure the permanent existence of. To found permanently. To set up in connection with the state. And endow, in parentheses, a church. But a church is a legislative assembly. Don't get caught up on the wall with the cross in the front. Islam? Because you can very easily change out church for temple and or mosque and or synagogue.
Fact.
It's a legislative body, right? To set up in business, to establish an establishment. Once again, another perspective. Authorize. To give authority. What does it say at the beginning of your Quran? All rights and what?
Authority.
Of the what? Publishing of this pamphlet of what? 1927. Know your record, folks. Right? To give authority, warrant, or legal power. Right? So when the Prophet mentioned the term authorized in the charter, he's giving you legal power. Right? Legal power to give a right to act, to empower, to make legal, to establish by authority or by usage or public opinion, to warrant, to sanction, to justify. I'm glad they mentioned public opinion because it is our duty to go into the out there in Asia and to help to shape public opinion. Right? That's what propagating the faith of Muhammad is about. Islam?
Islam.
You know, when you demonstrate Prophet Muhammad, because you need some degrees, right? When you demonstrate Prophet Muhammad, you know, that's Muhammad, right? Timeline. .570, 632, right? So he passed form in 632. By the year 711 AD, when your Moorish forefathers ran and took over Spain, right? In about 80 some odd years, right, Islam came into Northern Africa. Remember, they were walking and on camel, horseback. Came all the way across Northern Africa, right? And keep in mind, these people are from different tribes, different customs, different belief systems, right? Most of them under the yoke of the Roman occupation. The Romans were in Northern Africa before before the Muslims came in, right? In 80 some odd years, came all the way across northern Africa, organized themselves as a unit, and ran in Spain and took it over and ruled it for 800 years. That's demonstrating Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet. Islam? Now, go to show you why we couldn't tie our forefathers' shoes. How long it's been from between the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's passing and now? About the same period of time, expansive time. And what have we done with what we were brought?
Right.
And why? Well, the why is the same reason. How did the ancient Moors fall? Fighting each other. This term here. And this word doesn't exist, but I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah. Islam.
Sororicide.
Oh, wow.
This is when brothers kill brothers, right?
Right.
And this is when sisters kill sisters.
Right.
We're still doing it. Why we can't get off the ground and get anything done.
Right.
So, you know, as the prophet said, this matter should be looked into with a hope of correcting it. Right. Moving forward. Yes, brother.
I just want to point out that that death of killing each other can be socially as well.
Oh, it's on every field of human endeavorment.
Indeed.
You know, whatever you're trying to do for business, you know, whatever, we find a way to eat each other. You know, it says in the Quran, Mecca, it says, would any one of you like to eat your dead brother's flesh? And that's what you do when you backbite.
Right.
Eating the flesh. You see what I'm saying? Right. Dead brother and sister, because they're not aware. They're an angel unaware. They're not aware that they're being consumed.
The prophet stated that in Act 3, more.
Demonstrate, boy. All right? Empower. Let's move forward. Empower. To give legal or moral power or authority to authorize as by law, commission, verbal license, etc., to warrant or to license. Okay, that's empower. Initiate. This is very important. And, you know, to how the Prophet Noble Drew Ali imparted information. Initiate, to begin or enter upon, to set afoot, to be the first to practice or bring in, to guide or direct by instruction in rudiments or principles. That means the foundation of a thing. We can't talk about the foundations enough. To let into secrets. More science of America, do we have secrets?
Islam.
Absolutely. That we can keep sacred and silent. To introduce into a society or organization. To admit, initiate. Introduced to the knowledge of something. Islam?
Islam.
So there's different heavens established in the prophet. Right now we're in the first heaven. Right? Why is the first heaven? We have cherubims posted at the gate, right, in every direction. With the flaming sword, you don't see it, but it's flaming, right? To make sure the ones that are not supposed to pass that gate don't come through. Prophet Muhammad was initiated. It said that one night while he was asleep, it said the angel came to him and cut his chest wide open. Pulled out his heart, and washed his heart in sacred Zamzam water, and expanded his chest before they placed the heart back in. Put the heart back in, him and Jibreel, the angel Gabriel, got on a particular thing that they call barak. They said it was the size of a donkey, had the wingspan of 1,000 eagle, allegory, right? But the term barak in Arabic means lightning quick speed, right? But they got in this particular thing and went forward to Jerusalem. And it says from the mosque there, they went up into the heavens, right? Problem with that story is, at that time, there was no mosque in Jerusalem. The miracle is they traveled forward in time so Prophet Muhammad could see that there would be a mosque there. Because this was the period of time when the Meccans were, you know, his family members were trying to kill him. And this is when he was at his lowest point, right? And that's when Allah initiated him now. And from the first, you know, from that point, from the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, it says according to the story, it says he went up, so he went to the first heaven, got there, so Gabriel knocked. I'm not gonna do that. Gabriel knocked. I had to catch myself, I was talking. Gabriel knocked, and it said, who goes there? And Gabriel said, it's I, Gabriel. He said, who's with you? He said, Muhammad. He says, has he been sent for? Said, yes, he has. Then his coming as well. They opened the gate. He went in and met the prophet Adam. Right? Adam gave him some advice. And he went to the next heaven, second heaven. Right? Now, who goes there? It's Gabriel. Who is with you? Muhammad. Has he been sent for? Yes, his coming as well. Wait a minute. Goes in, he meets the prophet Yusuf. Prophet Yusuf or Joseph in the Bible was definitely initiated because he had a holy name. And it's in the Bible, so it's not a secret. Joseph's holy name was Zephpath-Paneah. Right? That was his Egyptian name because Yusuf was an Egyptian Arab student. Islam? And it goes on, and he gets to the seventh heaven when he was in the husul, or the presence of Allah. Right? And he was given a particular instruction for relative to the salat. And he comes back down to the sixth heaven and meets the prophet Moses. So how many times did Allah tell you that the people have to pray? It says, Allah said that, they have to pray 50 times a day. He said, I led those people. They're not going to pray 50 times a day. Please go back and see if you can get that change brought down. So went back behind the veil, because to get into the presence of Allah, you have to pierce a veil. Y'all ain't ready for that. Went behind the veil, right? Came back. Moses said, what did he tell you? He told me 40 times a day. This went on quite some time. It was back and forth. So the last time Prophet Muhammad was like, I feel guilty. I can't go back. Right? So he said, go back and ask him. So he went back. And they said that each prayer, tell him 5 times. And each prayer will count times 10. So that's your 50. So that's the original. So each of the 5 prayers, according to the tradition, it would count for 10 times of you making the salah. Right? But that's a part of his getting initiated. Islam was? Prophet Muhammad was a true and divine prophet. Prophet Noble Drew was reincarnation of Prophet Muhammad. If you know what you're looking at. Prophet, he had stories when he said, when I was Muhammad, and he started talking, and the Moors would be like, okay? Because who are we to say that he wasn't based on what he did? Islam Moors?
Islam.
Right? Brother Yosef, you all right over there, Mo? That Mo, he's leaving the body. I just want to let y'all know that. All right? But what I want to do is, I want to talk about another initiation. Okay? Because for some reason, people don't think that the Moors, they think we're these carnal people that talk law all day long. But not realizing that law governs all of that. Islam?
Islam. Sounds good.
The Holy Quran, the more, no, keep your seatbelt on, Mo. We ain't done. We're going to keep traveling. It's the holy day. Holy Quran of Muhammad, right? Surah 18, ayat 60. Surah 18, ayat 60. Surah 18 is called Surah Al-Kahf. K-A-H-F. Kahf. Kahf means cave. Right? 1860. When I just touched on Moses, right? Let's talk about Moses. Also, Brother Yosef, was the prophet Moses allowed into the promised land?
No, he was not.
Okay, keep that in mind. He wasn't allowed.
He was not.
He wandered, he took the children of Israel 40 years. 40 years. Got right there, and Allah said, you can't go. Islam, come on.
Islam. In the Piscean text, it says that he was not allowed because he smoked the rock. But the Quran says that he spoke to the rock.
Islam. And also, too, remember, do you think that you would say that you have faith and not be tested? Moses was tried. Let's read about Moses' trial. This is, behold, this is again 1860. Behold, Moses said to his attendant, I will not give up until I reach this junction of the 2 seas, or until I spend years and years in travel. Now there's a point. Oh, this is not the Holy Quran, the more science stuff, but this is the Quran amendment, so I'm going to read this thing. Right? He said, I will not stop till I reach the junction of the 2 seas. Right? In Egypt, we know Moses was an Egyptian at that. Islam? In Egypt, well, there's a place actually, it's not even in Egypt, it's actually in lower. Back in ancient times, again, this is Berlin Conference. What is in your modern day Sudan, there's a place where the white and the blue Niles meet. Right? That's the junction of the 2 Niles. That place is called Tuti. Write it down. T-U-T-I. Tuti. Moses knew if I could get to Tuti, I can meet the one that I'm supposed to meet and get initiated. Inshallah. right? Move forward, says, behold, Moses said to his attendant, I will not give up until I reach the junction of the two seas, or until I spend years and years in travel. But when they reached the junction, they forgot about their fish, which took its course through the sea straight as in a tunnel. Meaning that you didn't come to a master seeking higher wisdom and not bring an offering. If you got, okay, let's go back in time. Let's go backwards through the ages and trace ourselves so we can know. Right? Back in the time of the ancient Sultan, if you was granted an audience with the Sultan of Morocco, right? You couldn't just walk in the Sultan's presence, right? First of all that had to be cleared. You had to make it through security, and you had to bring a gift or gifts. Islam?
Islam.
Right? Generally, you had to bow down, right, before the Sultan, right? A lot of times sometimes it was a prostration. Sometimes it was a full body genuflect where you actually get down like on your stomach and stretch your hands forward and your feet all the way out before the Sultan. Prostrating yourself completely before his sovereignty, before the sovereign ruler. Islam? All right? So this fish they were talking about was an offering to a particular deity or particular enlightened one. And that particular one, and it's ironic I'm using a green marker, his name was El Khadir. Everyone, El Khadir.
El Khadir.
El Khadir means the green one. Moors, where is the nearest place to meet Allah?
In the heart.
What color governs the heart chakra?
Green.
What color is the five-pointed star on the Moorish flag?
Green.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
I just want to make sure y'all was paying attention.
Islam.
Right? It says, when they had passed on some distance, Moses said to his attendant, bring us our early meal. Truly, we have suffered much fatigue at this stage of our journey. He replied, sawest thou what happened when we betook ourselves to the rock? Brother Yosef, the rock. I did indeed forget about the fish. None but Shaitan or Satan made me forget to tell you about it. It took its course through the sea in a marvelous way. Moses said that was what we were seeking after. So they went back on their footsteps, following the path of which they had come. 65 is where it begins. So they found one of our servants, right, on whom we had bestowed mercy from ourselves, and whom we had taught knowledge from our own presence. Remember I talked about the Prophet Muhammad being in the presence of Allah? Well, this particular one that the Prophet Moses had to meet, or was meeting, was one that came from the presence of Allah, right? Now he was a master, right? But in the Arabic, they use the term abdan. Abdan, which means our servant. And this is Allah, but speaking in the sense of Elohim. Elohim exists in Arabic as the word Allahumma, which is Allah in plural. Islam?
Islam.
Right? It says, Moses said to him, and this is him asking, this is Moses asking El Khadir. He says, may I follow thee on the footing that thou teach me something of the higher truth which thou hast been taught. Islam?
Islam.
I said something a couple of weeks ago, to the Moors. I said, you never ask for a position. Those that ask for the positions usually cannot handle it. Islam? Right. In that spirit, read that again. Moses asked him, may I follow thee on the footing that thou teach me something of the high truth which thou hast been taught. 67. The other, meaning Al Khadir, said, verily thou wilt not be able to have patience with me. And that term, patience, is the term sabr. Everyone, sabr.
Sabr.
Sabr means patience. Sabr comes from the word sabun in Arabic. Everyone, sabun?
Sabun.
Sabun means soap. Right? And what does soap do? Cleanses the body, right? Sabr, patience, cleanses the spirit and the soul. Islam? So, Al-Khadir tells him, you won't have the patience. So 68 says, for how canst thou have patience about things which are beyond your knowledge? Right? Moses said, thou wilt find me, if Allah so will, truly patient, nor shall I disobey thee in aught. Islam?
Islam.
All right, we'll see. Ayat 70 says, the other said, Al-Khidr said, if then thou wouldst follow me, ask me no questions about anything until I myself speak to thee concerning it. Islam?
Islam.
Let me stop there. The story gets better. Let's stop there. Let's see what Al-Khidr was demonstrating. Because this is in the Egyptian area, right? Let's go to... Drawing from the book entitled Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James. Yes, sir. That's right. The mode of teaching in ancient Egypt, or ancient Kemet if you need it that way, it said, the progress of training was slow and no neophyte or initiate could accomplish such knowledge in his lifetime as took the Egyptians over 5,000 years to accumulate. So you had to take it slow. I know we want it now. You know, we want to build an empire right now. But we got to take you all through chambers. We got to try you. We got to test you. I have to lay burdens on you to see what you can handle and what you can't handle. If I put a burden on you and you crack, pull it, that's too much for me. Scale it back. Give it more time and try it again. Because the more time, through consistency, you might build a kind of like, anybody ever not worked out in a long time and go to the gym? And try to lift what you used to lift when you was in high school, and it don't work? But if you stay in there through constant light repetition, whatever you build to, you know, first of all, you tap into the muscle memory, ain't that right, brother? This is a personal trainer.
I went back to that.
He ain't my personal trainer, as you can see. But he's I would not represent you like this. But brother is a personal trainer, but you tap into that muscle memory, right? Trace yourself back unless you can know. You know, and the muscle memory says, yeah, we can do this, but you got to get back and you got to be consistent. Islam. Also, too, Stolen Legacy. I'll just go from my notes, but this is out of this book. So what was asked of the neophyte? What was asked of the initiate? What was asked of, what are we asking now when you come in the Morse Temple of America? Because we talk about an Egyptian student, same teaching, right? How many times, here's a personal test for you, taking notes. Write down, I'll pose the question and you write it in your own words. Research how many times in your Quran the Prophet mentions the word virtue. It'll blow your mind. I stayed up all weekend doing it, it's crazy. That word is all through that text, that record, right? But there's a certain number of virtues mentioned in the ancient, what they call the European, called the Egyptian mystery system. It wasn't a mystery to us, right? The principles of virtue. Says, now everybody put your pencils down, everybody sit up straight, feet flat, square shoulders, upright. Everybody inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Right? Reflect. Don't necessarily think, just reflect. The neophyte must control his or her thoughts. The neophyte must control his or her actions. The neophyte must have devotion of purpose. The neophyte must have faith in the ability of his or her master to teach him or her the truth. The neophyte must have faith in himself or herself to assimilate the truth. The neophyte must have faith in himself or herself to wield the truth. The neophyte must be free from resentment under the experience of persecution. I'll read that again. The neophyte must be free from resentment under the experience of persecution. The neophyte must be free from resentment under experience of wrong. The neophyte must cultivate the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. The neophyte must cultivate the ability to distinguish between real and unreal. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
This is what Al-Khidr was imparting to Moses.
Islam.
You're not ready. He looked at him. You're not ready. Moses said, I'm ready. He said, okay, let's try it. Ayat 71 says, so they proceeded. Now remember, the key was in Ayat 70, which 70 is a 7, isn't it, Islam?
Right.
Okay. He told me, said, if thou wilt follow me, ask me no questions about anything until I myself speak concerning it. Islam? 71. So they proceeded until when they were in a boat, he scuttled it, meaning that he put a hole in the boat. Al-Khidr. So now imagine now, y'all riding the boat, right? Nice journey. My man just pick up like a whatever, something pointed object. You're like, yo! What's the first thing you gonna say? Here we go. He said, hast thou scuttled it in order to drown those? In other words, yo, you trying to drown us? What's going on? He says, truly a strange thing hast thou done. He answered, Al-Khidr, did I not tell thee that thou cannot have no patience with me?
Right.
Moses said, rebuke me not for forgetting, nor grieve me by raising difficulties in my case. Excuses. Islam?
Islam.
You in breach of contract, but when I call you on it, you. 74. Then they proceeded until when they met a young boy. He slew him. So they walk in and they see a child. Al-Khidr killed him.
Wow.
Right?
Testament.
Facts. Moses said, hast thou slain an innocent person who had slain none? Truly a foul, unheard of thing thou hast done. He answered, did I not tell thee that thou canst not have no patience with me? This is the second time. Right? Moses said, if I ever ask thee about anything after this, keep me not in thy company, then wouldst thou have received full excuse from my side. Again, excuses. Ayat 77. Then they proceeded until they came to the inhabitants of a town. They asked them for food, but they refused them hospitality. They found there a wall on the point of falling down, but he, Al-Khidr, set it up straight. Moses said, if thou had wished, surely thou could have exacted some recompense for it. In other words, you could have got paid for doing it, right? But Al-Khidr said, and this is on the third time. He said, he answered, this is the parting between me and thee.
Right.
Now I will tell you the interpretations of those things over which thou wast unable to hold patience. As for the boat, it belonged to a certain men in dire want. They plied on the water, but wished to render it unserviceable. For there was after them a certain king who seized on every boat by force. In other words, there was a tyrant king. And he was going around, putting people under the iron hand of pressure. And he was, because, he wanted to conquer the other side of the river. Any available boat, that he could use, he was just seizing everybody's boats. So they wouldn't have access to that particular boat. Al-Khidr, let's use your boat. Okay. And he scuttled it, right? Put the hole in it, right? It says, as for the youth, his parents were people of faith, and we feared. So Al-Khidr is not acting alone. He's working on orders. Islam? Al-Khidr is a part of that we at Elohim.
That's exactly.
Islam. See, that's the thing. We have to stop functioning as I.
Right.
Islam.
And align your will to universal law.
Right.
Then when you act, you're functioning according to the we. And the word we in Arabic is nahnu. Everyone, nahnu. Nahnu is we, right? And we feared that he would grieve them by obstinate rebellion and ingratitude to Allah. And that's the case of the Negroes, blacks, colors, and African Americans in America. Let me read that again. By obstinate rebellion and ingratitude to Allah. 81. So we, back to that we again, desire that their Lord would give them in exchange a son better in purity of conduct and closer in affection. As for the wall, and that's interesting in the Trump era about this wall. Shout out to President Trump. Shout out to Trump. Trump's shaking it up. Trump gonna make y'all gonna be more American one way or another.
Islam.
Right? As for the wall, it belonged to 2 youths, orphans, in the town. There was, now think about Sheik Rashid.
Islam.
Think about the toilers toiling in a scantily way.
That's right.
Okay? It says, there was beneath it a buried treasure to which they were entitled. Their birthright was beneath the rocky soil. Islam? Their father had been a righteous man. Allah is the father of the universe, right? So thy Lord desired that they should attain their age of full strength and get out their treasure, a mercy and favor from thy Lord. I did it not of my own accord. Such is the interpretation of those things over which thou wast unable to hold patience. Islam or? Islam. Surely Allah speaks the truth through his holy divine prophet, Prophet Muhammad. Islam? All right. Now, that was one that tried a particular, was tried by a particular test and failed that particular test. But Moses was definitely a true and divine prophet of Allah. Islam? All right. He wasn't allowed to go into the promised land, but he took them there. Right? I'm just going to draw off a story out of the book of Numbers. Brother Akil, I got you. I just want to get this out for time's sake. Okay. The book of Numbers 13. Right? Numbers 13. It says, Allah said to Moses, send me to explore Canaan. Now think about, before I go into this, think about the beginning of your Quran where it talks about Joshua and, pushing out the Canaanites and the Hamathites and so on and so forth, right? The Lord said to Moses, send men to explore Canaan, which I'm giving to the Israelites. Send one leader from each of their ancestors' tribes. So at the Lord's command, Moses sent these men from the desert of Paran. All of them were leaders of the Israelites. And from verses 4 through 15, it gives the leaders of the 12 tribes, right, at that time. In verse 16, it says, these are the men Moses sent to explore the land. But Moses gave Hoshea, or son of Nun, the name Joshua. Okay? So notice it says, he was first called Hoshea, then he was called Joshua.
Okay.
Did the angel give the... Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Verse 17. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he told them, go through the Negev and then into the mountain region. See what the land is like. These are the instructions, right? This is what he's telling the 12 leaders and Joshua and Caleb, right? See what the land is like and whether the people living there are strong or weak, few or many. Is the land they live in good or bad? Do their cities have walls around them or not? Is the soil rich or poor? Does the land have trees or not? Do your best to bring back some fruit in the land. And in parentheses, it says it was the season when grapes were beginning to ripen. Right? Harvest season, right? 21. So the men explored the land from the desert of Zin to the border of Hamath. The prophet told you about the Hamathites. They went through the Negev and came to Hebron, where Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai lived. They were the descendants of Anak. Now the Anakites, right? These are the ones when you watch any NBA game, and you've seen these cats that's like 6, 8, and up, right? These are the Anakites. The ancient Moabites called them the Emim. Or the Emim. E-M-I-M. Ancient Moabites actually drove them out of the land of Moab. We went to war with the Emim, right? And the word Emim means terrors. They were terrorizing the land. And the ancient Moabites said this is enough and ran them out. Right? You come down to the time of David, they were there. And Goliath of Gath wasn't even there. Right? It says they were descendants of Anak. Hebron was built 7 years, this is in parentheses. Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. Right there, Zoan, that's Z-O-A-N. We're going to go into that on Sunday school. Zoan. When they came to the Eshol Valley, they cut off a branch with only one bunch of grapes on it. They carried it on a pole between the two of them. That's where the prophet got that from, the oral statements. They would take a couple men to carry one bunch of grapes. Yeah. Grapes back then were like this big.
Yeah, 4 hands.
Islam?
Islam.
Right, so a bunch of grapes, it took 2 men. I told you the prophet's a Bible master. They also brought some pomegranates and figs. So they also called that valley Eshol, E-S-H-C-O-L, meaning bunch of grapes, because of the bunch of grapes that the Israelites cut off there. 40 days later, they came back from exploring the land. How long was Jesus on the mountain?
40 days.
40 nights, right? They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole community of Israel at Kadesh. Kadesh means holy place, in the desert of Paran. They gave the report and showed them the fruit of the land. This is what they reported to Moses. We went to the land where you sent us. It is really a land flowing with milk and honey. Here's some of the fruit, some of its fruit. But the people there, but the people who live there are strong, and the cities have walls and are very large. We even saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in Negev. The Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites, sound like your Quran, ain't it? Live in the mountain region. And the Canaanites live along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea and all along the Jordan River. Caleb, the word Caleb, right? In Arabic, we could use the word Caleb for dog, right? I'll do it in English sometime. Right? Caleb means dog. Why dog? Why did they give him a name meaning dog? Because dogs are extremely loyal. Right? In Arabic, there's the term qalb, which means heart. And the heart seat is the seat of loyalty. Somebody let you down, you say, you broke my heart. Islam. Right? Caleb told the people, now okay, listen to this. Caleb told the people to be quiet and listen to Moses. Caleb said, let's go now and take possession of the land. We should be more than able to conquer it. But the men who had gone with him said, man, we can't attack those people. They're too strong for us. So they began to spread lies amongst the Israelites about the land that they had explored. They said, the land we explored is one that devours those who live there. All the people we saw there are very tall. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak are the Nephilim. We felt as small as grasshoppers, and that's how we must have looked to them. So the people went, you know, the leaders of the 12 tribes went and lied to the people because they were afraid. Even though their charge was to go and possess the land. Islam? But because Caleb and Joshua were very loyal, you know, to Allah's, you know, commands through Moses, through the prophet Moses, Moses received a particular honor. So in Numbers 27, come up, and you can read 13 through 26, and it tells you about, you know, the plot, the plan to go into the land and all that. But in verse 18 it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua the son of Nun, right? The word Nun actually means fish. Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay thine hand upon him, right? This is the anointing of Joshua. This was him making Joshua a sheik. Islam? This was him elevating him to a higher plane of responsibility to lead the people to go possess the land. Right? This was Moses announcing to the people that Joshua was a guider of the nation. Islam was? Right? 19. And set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation, and give him charge in their sight. So bring him before all the people and announce before the people that this is their new leader. And thou shalt put some of thine honor on him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of the Urim before the Lord. The Urim and Thummim. Write these words down. Urim, Urim. U-R-I-M, Thummim, T-H-U-M-I-M. Were a set of stones that were kept. The high priest wore a breastplate. 12 stones of the tribes of Israel. Behind the breastplate, he kept a pouch. In this pouch was a set of stones. And he could ask basically yes or no questions and drop the stones and read. This is what Babylon was doing today. The Ephah community. There's a lot of traditions all over the planet. They were doing that, but for some reason they forget that when it comes to the Bible. Right. Ancient. There's ones that could look and forecast the future. Right. Right? Not everything. Not when you will be born, not when you would die. Yes, sir.
Could you spell Thummim again?
Thummim, yes, sir. T-H-U-M-I-M. Thummim is actually Thummim. Yes, sir. And so that was in charge of the high priest, or the Levitical priest, I should say, actually. Right? After the judgment of Urim before the Lord, at his word they shall go out, at his word they shall come in. Both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation. And Moses did as the Lord commanded him, and he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. And he laid hands upon them and gave him a charge as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses. At that point, Joshua was made a sheik. Islam was? At that point, Joshua was made to command the nations. Islam? At that point, Moses conferred on Joshua the degrees according to all forms and usages. We're doing the same thing based off that chart that our forefathers taught thousands of years ago. To those as are duly and lawfully qualified. Islam? All right? We had a members meeting on Tuesday. And in our members meeting, we ran through certain things for certain adjustments for the temple for 2019, so on and so forth. And we also elevated to a position of acting sheik and acting sheikess two of our members that are here today. Islam. Islam was? Islam. I'd like to call up front, if I can, Brother Raphael. Just type. Not gonna ask you to say that. Just come stand by my side and look good like y'all did. Islam. Stand right here. The Prophet Noble Drali said, upon all those as are duly and lawfully qualified. Islam. It also says in magistrate and subject that, you know, the magistrate looks out with a discerning eye amongst the people, you know, and he awarded them according to their merit. Islam? These are such ones that I've looked at, you know, during my, my stint as Grand Sheik of this temple. And I've seen that they are duly and lawfully qualified because of their merit. Islam was. And, you know, we saw fit to elevate them from member to acting sheikas and acting sheik. Islam? And it would do me a great benefit, a great honor, and a great service, as you would afford them all due honors that you would give myself, the chairman, and the assistant grand governor, Brother Nazir Aliyah, give them the same honors that you give us. Islam? You know, because like the Prophet said, it doesn't take much to destroy the influence of good leadership, right? And worse yet, it was when we don't honor the ones that are set in front of you. Islam? These are your leaders. Islam, they've proven themselves. He didn't get this because he's my boy. Pardon the terminology. She didn't get this because she's my wife, and I love her. Islam, I've known her 30 years. But, you know what I'm saying? That's not why she got it, because of her dedication and more science to being here. You know what I'm saying? You know? So praise Allah, more Islam. This is a hard time, and they're gonna be tried. I'm gonna make sure of it. Islam, and some they'll pass, and some they won't pass. Islam. Praise Allah. Whatever happens, they won't leave. Praise Allah. You know, and you're not even gonna do that. We know they're gonna stay. Islam. All right. And what I like to do, I'm like, a lot longer. See, there's a word in Arabic which is silsila, and a silsila is a chain, right? A chain is only as strong as each link. Islam. This is how we should be with one another when anything happens. Right? Something happened with the Moors, we lock up. You know what I'm saying? We look at the shoulder, rank. You see, Islamically, when prayer is being done, we're side by side, military rank. Islam? We allow nothing to come between the Moorish American Muslims at all. Islam? This is the degree of unity, right? Of course, the Prophet gave you the hand press, but that link, when something happens, remember, lock up. Islam? If you're out of sync with one another, I love you, get over here. We'll figure it out, right? If we get along, lock up. Islam? Praise Allah. Give our boys a round of applause. Takbir! 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 Dismissed. So Moors, you know, the goal in Moorish Science Central America is not to become a sheik of sheiks. The Prophet said he needed help. Islam? And as a Grand Sheik, I can't do it alone. Right? From 2006, when we first received the charter, to now, right? It's been about 3 of us. Any of the work that you've seen has been, you know, the administration has usually been 3. Like, you know, before my brother Lasana Tunica-El was my former chairman before Sheik Rashid. It was one before him, and then, you know, Sheik Rashid. But it's always been 3 of us. You know, we jokingly call ourselves the triune Allah. But, you know, the Prophet said for the protection of your temples, you must have 7 sheiks tried and true and agreed upon by you. That's for the protection of the temple. Islam? All right? So my obligation is to look at of those that are around, right, who are consistent. Islam? And put responsibilities on them. Islam? That's what this is. That's how this thing moves forward, right? And, you know, anyone that knows anything about me as a Grand Sheik, I don't really ask anything twice. If I have to ask twice, that shows you don't want to do it. I ask once. If it's not done, don't worry about it. I'll get quiet and it'll get done some other way. Islam, but I'll never forget that you didn't do it. Islam? You know? But the point is most we have a lot of work to do, right? The Prophet needs all his Moors. Prophets are those that were with me 2,000 years ago with me now. Those that were against me 2,000 years ago are against me now. Islam? The reincarnation thing is serious, you know? And I would like to suggest to any who consider joining the Moor Scientific of America, keep in mind you have to learn the culture of this. You know, there's a way we move as Moorish American Muslims. There's a way we don't move as Moorish American Muslims. Islam. We don't air our dirty business, our dirty laundry before the public. You know, we don't get on social media and go with each other. That's not us. Those who see us doing that are in violation of Prophet. Prophet say, keep it out the eyes of the public. Islam? You know, we are not anti. Say that again. We are not anti the United States of America. This is the nation of our birth. This is where my mother lives. This is where my grandmother lived. This is where her grandmother lived. This is where her grandmother lived. Islam? And this is the flag that represents that holy contract or that holy covenant, right? Of which the Prophet said the United States, the American Constitution is one of the greatest documents of all time. Islam? I want to read an article in that spirit. And then I'll lower the meeting. If you can get it, get this. It's a Time Magazine article from, it's marked November 26th, and it has a slash December 3rd. And it's entitled, Who Gets to Be American? Okay? Who Gets to Be American? Okay? This was written by Brother Viet Van Nguyen. I know I chopped his name up for that. I apologize. Vietnamese brother. And I'm going to go hit certain paragraphs. And just think, national descent and free national name. National descent, free national name. Remember, he's Vietnamese. Real quick. It says, the country in which I'm writing these words is France, which is not my country, but which colonized Vietnam, where I was born for 2/3 of a century. French rule ended only 17 years before my birth. My parents and their parents knew nothing but French colonialism. Perhaps because of this history, part of me loves France, a love that is due in some measure to me having been mentally colonized by France. That's what the Sheik called Stockholm Syndrome. Aware of my colonization, I do not love France the way many Americans love France. The ones who dream of the Eiffel Tower, sipping coffee at the Le du Mégot, of eating a fine meal in Provence. This is a romantic love set to accordion music of Edith Piaf, which I feel only fleetingly. I cannot help but see colonialism's legacies, visible throughout Paris if one wishes to see them. The people of African and Arab origins who are here because France was their countries of birth. Romanticizing their existence oftentimes at the margins of French society. They call that the other, being the other in a society when you're on the margins. Oftentimes at the margins of French society would be difficult, which is why Americans rarely talk about them as part of the fantasy of Paris. The fantasy is tempting, especially because of my Vietnamese history. Most of the French of Vietnamese origins I know are content, even if they are aware of their colonized history. Why wouldn't they be? Listen, a Moroccan friend in Paris points to the skin I share with these French of Vietnamese ancestry and says, you are white here. Status, right? But I am not white in America. Or not yet. I was made in America. See, I was made in America, but born in Vietnam. And my origins are inseparable from 3 wars. The one the Vietnamese fought against the French, the ones the Vietnamese fought against each other, and the one the U.S. fought in Vietnam. Many Americans consider the war to be a noble, the Vietnam War, to be a noble, if possibly flawed example of American good intentions. And while there is some truth to that, it was also simply a continuation of French colonization. A war that was racist and imperialist at its roots and its practices. As such, this war was one manifestation of a centuries-long expansion of American empire that began from its own colonial birth and ran through the frontier, the American West, Mexico, Hawaii, Guam, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and now the Middle East. One war might be a mistake. A long series of wars is a pattern. Indians were the original terrorists in the American imagination. Talking about the Europeans. The genocide committed against them by, his language, white settlers is Thanksgiving's ugly side. Not quite remembered, but not really forgotten. Even in France, where images of a half-naked Native American in a feathered headdress can also be found. Centuries later, the latent memory of genocide or the celebration of conquest would surface when American GIs called hostile Vietnamese territory Indian country. See, what they did to us here is global, more than it's not just you. Get out the pity party. They did this to all our people, right? Now Muslims are the new gooks, while terrorists are the new communists. Since communists are no longer very threatening, and every society needs an other to define its boundaries and funnel its fears. And he talked about his son, having a son here in America. He says, unlike my son, I had to become naturalized. His son was born here. Son's automatically a citizen. Unlike my son, I had to become naturalized. Did I love America at the time of my naturalization? It's hard to say, because I never said I love you to anyone, my parents included, much less a country. But I still wanted to swear my oath of citizenship to America as an adolescent. At the same time, I wanted to keep my Vietnamese name. Right? Islam Wars?
Islam.
I had tried various American names on facade. What's an American name? Does that exist?
No.
Doesn't exist. Okay? All felt unnatural. Only the name my parents gave me felt natural. Possibly because my father never ceased telling me, you are 100% Vietnamese.
Islam.
Islam.
Quite so. Rise giving Allah the highest praise, highest honor to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Ali. He said it was a Vietnamese name, right?
Islam.
But didn't he also say by origin it was French, or did I miss? Was that a miss? What
was the second half of your question?
Didn't he also say it was from French origin?
So no. So basically said that France had colonized Vietnam, and that but his actual name itself was Vietnamese.
Okay, all right.
And it's so he's identified with the Vietnamese side,
okay, all right,
as opposed to the French.
Okay, Islam.
So he's demonstrated Vietnamese French, kind of like we do Moorish Americans, right? But he says, let me go back. By keeping my name, I could be made into an American, but not forget that I was born in Vietnam. Paradoxically, I also believe that by keeping my name, I was making a commitment to America. Not the America of those that say love it or leave it, but to my America, to an America that I would force to say my name, rather than to an America that would force a name on me.
Right.
Nationality is the order of the day. Naming my own son was then a challenge. I wanted an American name for him that expressed the complexities of our America. I chose Ellison, after the great writer Ralph Waldo Ellison, himself named after Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great philosopher. My son's genealogy would be black and white, literary and philosophical, African American and American. So he's one extreme, right? Paradoxical. Says this genealogy gestures at the greatness of America and the horror of it as well, the democracy as well as the slavery. Some Americans like to believe that the greatness has succeeded the horror, but to me, the greatness and the horror exist simultaneously, as they have from the very beginning of our American history, and perhaps to its end. A name like Ellison compresses the beauty and the brutality of America in 7 letters, a summation of despair and hope. A few more paragraphs more. Says, let me go back. Okay, still talking about his son. He said, America is his country, and perhaps he will know it for a love that will be less complicated and more intuitive than mine. He will also, I hope, know a father's love that is less complicated than mine. I never said I love you when I was growing up because my parents never said I love you to me. That does not mean they did not love me. They loved me so much that they worked themselves to exhaustion in their new America. I hardly ever got to see them. When I did, they were too tired to be joyful. Toiling with the hard line drawn to toil. Okay. Still, no matter how weary they were, they always made dinner, even if dinner was just boiled organ meat. This is in America. I grew up on intestine, tongue, tripe, liver, gizzard, and heart, but I was never hungry. The memory of that visceral love expressed in sacrifice is in the marrow of my bones. That love is in his bones. A word or a tone can make me feel the deepness of the love, as happened to me when I overheard a conversation one day in my neighborhood drugstore in Los Angeles. Now, this is interesting. The man next to me was Asian, not handsome, plainly dressed. That was kind of crazy. Not handsome. Okay, anyway. He spoke Southern Vietnamese on his cell phone. He says, and I don't speak Vietnamese, but it says, Con ai ba de con chua. He says, he looked a little rough, perhaps working class, but when he spoke to his child in Vietnamese, his voice was very tender. What he said cannot be translated, it can only be felt. Literally, he said, hello child, this is your father, have you eaten rice yet? That means nothing in English, but in Vietnamese, it means everything. Con oi ba de con chua. This is how a host greets guests who come to the home by asking them if they have eaten. This is how parents, this is how parents who would never say I love you told their children that they love them. I grew up with these customs, these emotions, these intimacies, right? And when I heard this man say this to his child, I almost cried. This is how I know that I am still Vietnamese, because my history is in my blood. Right? And my culture is in my umbilical cord. Even if my Vietnamese is imperfect, which it is, I am still connected to Vietnam and to Vietnamese refugees worldwide. And yet when I was growing up, some Vietnamese Americans would tell me that I was not really Vietnamese because I did not speak Vietnamese. You know, kind of like how they tell you you're not really Muslim, or you're not really Moorish, or you're not, okay? It says, such a statement is the cousin of love it or leave it. But there should be many ways of being Vietnamese, just as there are many ways of being French, many ways of being American. For me, as long as I felt Vietnamese, as long as Vietnamese things moved me, I am still Vietnamese. This is how I feel the love of country for Vietnam, which is one of my countries. Right. And that is how I feel my Vietnamese self. And claiming that defiant Vietnamese self, one that disregards anyone's definition, I claim my American self too. Against all who say love it or leave it, who offer only one way to be American, I insist on the America that allows me to be a Vietnamese and is enriched by the love of others. So it is that every day I ask my son if he has eaten yet, and every day I tell my son that I love him. Right. This is how the love of country and the love of family do not differ. I want to create a family where I will never say love it or leave it to my son, just as I want a country that will never say the same to anyone. Last paragraph that I'm going to read. Most Americans will not feel what I feel when they hear the Vietnamese language, but they feel the love of country in their own ways. Perhaps they feel that deep emotional love when they see the flag or hear the national anthem. I admit that those symbols mean little to me because they divide as much as they unify. Too many people from the highest office in the land down have used those symbols essentially to tell all Americans to love it or to leave it. Islam, national descent, free national name. The dichotomy between the two. So we as Moorish Americans are not the only ones that go through that. Am I Moorish enough? You see what I'm saying? What does it mean to be Moorish? Right? If I go leave this body of Moors and go over here, their Moorishness is a little different than mine. Is that all right or is that not all right? Islam? American. What do I really feel about that word? Most of us have emotional scars on our back behind the word. Islam? Not realizing what our contributions are to that. They're innumerable. Name an edifice in D.C. that your forefathers didn't build. What? The Lincoln Monument, the Washington Monument, the White House, Capitol Building. You built it all. And for all intents and purposes, when you look at that building that Lincoln statue is sitting in, that's a temple with pillars and stairs and marble. And your forefathers built that. Slaves couldn't have built nothing like that. Those was Moors. Islam? This land is your land. Don't get it twisted. Right? Islam. Got a book about it? Want to see it? There you go. Right? But the point is that this land is your land. You know what I mean? And you have to proclaim it for it to be real. If you don't proclaim it, you're just another Negro. Islam Moors? Brother Akil, do you remember your question? I know you had something earlier. If not, I'll go ahead and lower the video. Yes, sir, brother.
Can you check this out?
Can
you check this out?
No, but I'll tell you what you can do. We need those for the temple. But what you can do, they have it online. Yeah, just type in, just Google Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Right, and it'll come up on the website, something like hermetic.com or something like that. But it's the whole thing is online. See that? You said you gifted the brother?
Yeah.
Praise him.
Islam.
Asking you shall receive. Islam.
Islam. My question.
Yes, sir.
My question was one of my questions. I have a couple that we can table. But you said Indian. You said Indian was a label.
Yes. Well, Indian is actually a Masonic term. Indian really has. Indian is not a people. Even the country that's called India, was Hindustan at one point. You know what I'm saying? India was when the European Freemasons took over, and they began to rename and relabel things to confound the tongues and confound the history. That was the whole renaming process, so you wouldn't know where you're at. Like, where are you right now? What street are you on right now? Cleveland Avenue, right?
Right.
Okay. Who named it? It's a God power. I think we went over that the other week. It's a God power in naming things.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
That's why Adam.
The cross street right up the street is called Metropolitan. Yeah. When I first got here, it was Stewart Avenue. But now it's Metropolitan. In the 10 years, the Europeans will probably name it something else. You understand what I'm saying? But until you get back in power to begin to name things after yourself. This should be a whole Moorish community over here. This should be, Drew Ali Town. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be Moorish flags all the way up and down, and feathers and turbans. And the sister can walk with her turban on, and it's our normal. People don't go over there with no crime. They don't play that over there. Don't bring no lean and crack and all that mess over there. It's a clean neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? That's what this is. You know what I mean? Are there any other questions before I lower it? Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
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 Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
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 All praises are due to Allah, the highest of honors, to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Again, thanking you all for sacrificing your time on a Friday holy night to come out and reason together. Islam?
Islam.
In closing, I like to say, before the Prophet Noble Drew Ali came, we didn't really have each other. European psychology went a long way in dividing New York, right? Last week, I read from the Quran of Mecca, and it says, do not be like those who fall into disputations after clear signs will reveal. In other words, truth, we know we want, we know we're not Negro, blacks, and colors, right? How do we then act as Negroes behind that? Or after that point? And therein is the work. You know, a lot of times it's damage control, because a lot of times a lot of our old ways flare up. The old Willie Lynch syndrome, you're flaring up on it. You know what I mean? And you got to recognize it for what it is and call yourself on it. Old master told me a long time ago, tell yourself what to do so others won't have to. Become self-governing. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
Until such time that you get that, come and attend your meetings and attend them properly. Islam?
Islam.
And get to know one another. You know, trade each other's numbers. You know, I have a thing, you know, about getting to know people. Like people come to the temple. I want to learn who you are. What's your name? How you doing? What side of town you live on? What, you know, what kind of work do you do? What do you have to offer? You your electrician, what your carpenter, what you... Now we got all these masters and we can build something. You understand what I'm saying? But if as soon as the meeting is over, brothers bolt to the door, I never get a chance to learn you. Right? And if I never get a chance to learn you, we can't build nothing with you. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, hang around for a little bit. Give us 5 minutes after the meeting. Just 5 minutes. Shake, press some hands. Look at brother in the eye. You know, greet the Moabites. How you doing, sister? Honest to you, sister. Because I know what sisters look like out there, and I know what they look like in here. Thank you for your sacrifice to the nation. You understand what I'm saying? You know, honor one another. Stop being afraid or necessarily say uncomfortable around one another. You see what I'm saying? Because the more you become mature in your cultures, this is a new culture for you. It's yours. It's the old time religion, but it's new to you, to all of us, and we have to work on practicing it. You know, we have to become practiced with being ourselves and no one else. And don't really let nobody tell. No, let me clap for that. Don't let anyone outside the Prophet Noble Ali tell you how to be more American, because they didn't bring it to you. See, before the Prophet, everybody was Negroes, blacks, and colors, right? After the Prophet, now everybody is pretending wise. Everybody's a professor. Everybody got some knowledge now. You didn't have it in 1912, before 1913, before you came. You understand what I'm saying? Come to the temple. You got questions about what it is to be more? Come to the temple. Let's lay the Prophet's records out. Let's navigate, right? Because we got landmarks where we can trace ourselves all the way back. Everything we do in the more science simple of America means something. I'm going to say something too. Anytime a sheik or acting sheik, right, is up here behind the altars, right, demonstrating, give them your undivided attention, right? Because greater than something that's said is another language being communicated if you're looking, right? You might be able to get a little jewel to be able to put in your pocket, tuck away until it grows, and now I know what that means. But if you're not paying attention and we in our phones and we text somebody, the sheik is demonstrating, you're missing. So you're hearing the words, but they just land on your ears. They're not piercing your heart. And it's a holistic demonstration that you need to take in. Islam? I give honor to my brother Yosef Affield because it was a series of things that was discussed tonight. I forgot what they were. That more left the body on you. More was gone. He out. He came back when the more opened his eyes. I saw that he traveled. This ain't no spook doctrine. This is real. Y'all know y'all live in more than one dimension at once. Y'all know that, right? Y'all aware of that? That's why the Prophet got the 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the sea. Right? You think he just arbitrarily put this image together? Read Revelation chapter 10. You'll see the angel with 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the sea, with the little book in his hand. That's your prophet. Islam was? Islam. You know? But you have to know there's an energy, or the Prophet said a saving power that comes along with this energy. It said that the Europeans wrote in their chronicles, they said when they went to war with the Moors, the ancient Moors, they said, you know, we were charging at them, we had them outnumbered. It was 60,000 of us and 7,000 of them, and they were dressed in all white. You know, we went to battle in all white. And they were dressed in all white. And in the heat of the battle, it looked like their numbers doubled. And while they were fighting, it was a group of Muslims off to the side that was chanting and praying. And after a while, a sandstorm kicked up and blinded us. The Moors, they said, European Catholics, the Moors are working with the devil because they can control nature. No, you can't control, no one can control nature. You can work in harmony with nature and manipulate it according to Allah's will. And the Moors knew how to do that, right? And that's not just in Islamic times. Research Toussaint Louverture, and when Napoleon was sending 4,000 troops from New Orleans to come down and, you know, run into Haiti, and with the Vodun practices, and the Vodun priests was doing their thing over here and stuff like that. Next thing you know, all them 4,000 troops caught yellow fever, and they, you know, and they which gave Toussaint Louverture the time to conquer the French. Islam? Let's stop being so carnal-minded as Moorish Americans. Y'all don't believe in nothing. Moors don't believe in nothing. I talk to Moors, it's just like I'm talking to a shell. Well, you know, the law said, you know, the statute number such and such. Well, ain't no salvation in that. I feel like I'm just talking to a temple with no altar fires. Just a form. Who are you? Okay. In the espousing of all of that, show me your family. That'll tell me who you are.
Yeah.
What's your life like?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What that nationality really do? Show me how it's really benefiting everybody around you. Islam? That's it. When I met this Moor's sons, you know, and I pressed their hand, and they knew what to do, and came back and hit it on the square, I was like, that's more working at home. You know? So despite anything that I might think, I saw the fruit of his labor. I know the tree that they come from. The vine and the tree and the fig leaf. Vine and the fig. Islam? I know the manifestations of that. And if what you're demonstrating is not affecting those around you in a positive light, it's worthless. It's worthless. It's vanity. Read the book of Ecclesiastes when the preacher says it's all vanity. All is vanity. You know, most of the stuff we're doing because it look good. You know, I want to get in the Europeans facing in the courtroom and disbar the judge. And that look good, but then you leave out. Let's say they give you the win. You walk out. What are you going to do for your community? You still go back. Most of them dudes got to go back and go to work for somebody else. Meanwhile, while you was doing all that, the judge is on the clock getting paid. You had to take off to be in there, so you losing money for your vanity to be right. Forgetting justice, mercy, and love. Islam was?
Islam.
I pray some of this is making sense. This ain't had nothing to do with my message, but I'm being told it does. Islam?
Islam.
So more, just remember, please don't play with this man right here. Don't play with this movement. Don't play with anything that he brought, because you won't tear it up. It'll tear you up. Islam?
Islam.
Caveat emptor. And with that, everyone please rise. Face to east, which is right ahead of you. Hold your square. Raise your 7, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, and evermore to be. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night, and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. Islam, Lord.
Islam.
Praise Allah.
Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu